Guru. And now, as we have thought, in this video we will be dealing with the treatment of the COVID-19. But before going for the treatment, what a normal individual should do? If you have some symptoms of COVID-19 like fever, cough or sore throat, first of all, you should self-quarantine yourself. And you should observe yourself for at least 14 days. And if during these 14 days your condition do not improve or whether your condition worsens, then you should seek a medical help emergency. So now we will get into the treatment of COVID-19. As we all know, there is no proper treatment for COVID-19 till now. So the only thing that we can do is that we can provide supportive treatment to the patient. Supportive treatment means we can give treatment for the symptoms. First and the foremost symptom of COVID-19 is obviously the fever. And what fever leads to? Fever leads to dehydration. Fever is something that is the body temperature is above 100.4 degree Fahrenheit. So due to fever there can be dehydration, loss of fluid from the body. And in order to maintain the fluid loss in the body, we can give IV fluids to the patient in the form of normal saline or ringer lactate. But we cannot give the fluid to the patient as we do in case of normal patients. The reason is, in pathology of COVID-19, we have discussed that due to COVID-19 infection, there will be loss of fluid from the capillaries to the spaces. And these spaces will be filled up with fluids that will increase the work of breath or it will make it difficult for the alveoli to expand. That is the reason why we cannot give a lot of fluid to the patient, because even that fluid can contribute to the building up of fluid or the alveolar edema. So fluid should be given, but just keep one word in mind, fluid should be provided to the patient sparingly. Done? Next, we will get into the drugs. In order to reduce the fever, obviously the class of drugs that we use are the antipyretics. And the most commonly used antipyretic is the paracetamol. And in paracetamol we can use Tylenol. So for the fever, we can use any of the antipyretic drugs such as Tylenol. Now, what the problem with COVID-19 is that there is no specific medication for COVID-19. So we have a list of medications that can be proving itself to be effective to treat COVID-19. And first drug in that race is obviously remdesivir. The remdesivir is a drug that was primarily used in case of Ebola virus. We should all have come across in the Ebola virus outbreak, remdesivir was primarily used in that. Now, how does remdesivir act? So, in order to understand that, we should know at least the summary of pathology. That is, please do watch the pathology video to have a brief knowledge about the pathology and understand these drugs better. So, what actually happens is the coronavirus comes and attaches itself to the type 2 pneumocyte on the receptor ACE2 with the help of its S protein. It then puts up its genetic material into the cell, where the genetic material utilizes host ribosome to make polyproteins. Along with that, this genetic material also utilizes RDRP, that is RNA dependent RNA polymerase, to make multiple copies of itself. When these polyproteases, then in the influence of proteases, will form all the components that are required for the formation of COVID-19 virus. When all these are formed, a new complete coronavirus is synthesized, and then it damages the type 2 pneumocytes and detaches itself from the type 2 pneumocyte, leading to further complications such as release of inflammatory mediators and all that. So, what does the remdesivir do? The action of remdesivir occurs on the RNA dependent RNA polymerase. Remdesivir is able to inhibit the RNA dependent RNA polymerase. Now, when this drug can inhibit this RNA dependent RNA polymerase, further synthesis of the genetic material is not possible. So only the structures are formed. It cannot include the genetic material. Hence, complete formation of new virus is not possible. That way we can stop the development of the disease. So that is actually the action of remdesivir. Now the second drug that we have all came up to across, and it is of very big controversy, that is chloroquine. That is chloroquine. Now actually what chloroquine does is The chloroquine will inhibit the initial step, that it will not permit the transfer of the genetic material from the COVID virus to the type 2 pneumocyte. It will inhibit the step here. Chloroquine will inhibit the transfer of genetic material from the virus into the type 2 pneumocyte. Now when this is inhibited, what happens? None of these steps, that is the formation of polyproteins from ribosomes and formation of genetic material from RNA dependent RNA polymerase takes place, and further complication will not develop. So chloroquine can inhibit in the initial step of the transmission of viral genetic material into the type 2 pneumocyte. Now the next drug is ritonavir. The next class of drug that we will deal with is ritonavir. Okay. Now the ritonavir class of drug will be used in case of what is a ritonavir? Ritonavir is a protease inhibitor. So we should first know that ritonavir is a protease inhibitor. Now tell me, in the whole cycle, where can a protease inhibitor act? Obviously where the protease is acting. And where is the protease acting? Here is the protease acting. So ritonavir comes and inhibits the proteases, and that's why from the polyproteins all the structural components will not be formed, only the genetic material will be formed. So without the structure, the genetic material is of no use. Further, the complication or the development of the virus can be inhibited. Next class of drug is the tocilizumab. Okay. Now the tocilizumab is a DMARD, that is disease modifying antirheumatic drug. Now what does this tocilizumab do? See, now I'm going to explain how does this drug act, and that's why I strongly recommend you again to see the pathology class. Okay. Now when in normal case the COVID-19, all these structures and the genetic material are formed, and these newly formed virus buds itself off from the type 2 pneumocyte, and whenever there is damage to the type 2 pneumocyte, there is a release of macrophage, right? Macrophages will be released, and these macrophages will further lead to the release of interleukin 6, inflammatory mediators such as interleukin 6, interleukin 1 and TNF alpha, leading to inflammation. Now actually what tocilizumab do? The tocilizumab will inhibit the synthesis of interleukin 6. Tocilizumab will inhibit the synthesis of interleukin 6, further reducing the inflammatory condition. And obviously many of you should be thinking of it still now, that if there is inflammation, the best medication for an inflammation are the corticosteroids. Then yeah, we can also give corticosteroids. So we can give the corticosteroids to the patient. So these are the drugs that mainly can be used or are in the run for the treatment of COVID-19. Starting from Tylenol, paracetamol, that is for the fever. Remdesivir, we know it will inhibit the RNA dependent RNA polymerase. Chloroquine will inhibit the coming in of the genetic material into the type 2 pneumocyte. Ritonavir is a protease inhibitor. It will inhibit the enzyme proteases. Then tocilizumab is a disease modifying antirheumatic drug, that is, it will inhibit the synthesis of interleukin 6, that is a major contributor to the inflammation, and again corticosteroids can still be used. So one more thing, that the remdesivir and Ebola drug is in the run and is upfront among all these drugs for the treatment of COVID-19, and it is currently in the third stage, phase 3 clinical trial. Is in the phase 3 clinical trial. So these are the drugs that are currently under observation for the treatment of COVID-19, and this is how these drugs can help us treat COVID-19. Now, the COVID-19 patient have ARDS, right? ARDS can further develop into SARS. SARS can then further go to septic shock. Septic shock can go to organ failure. So there is an urgent need that the COVID-19 patient should be ventilated. Ventilation should be carried out in case of COVID-19 patient, and it can be done with mechanical ventilation. With the help of mechanical ventilation. Now, one thing that should be taken care of while providing ventilation to the COVID-19 patient is that we cannot give heavy ventilation. Heavy ventilation should not be provided. Okay? Why heavy ventilation should not be provided to the patient? I'll tell you. See, in COVID-19 patient, we know the alveoli is damaged, right? So I'll draw two alveoli, okay? See, consider this alveoli is damaged. Means half of this alveoli is damaged and half is working and in good health. Now, if we give heavy ventilation, all of the air will not enter into the damaged alveoli, right? Now, where will all the air go? All the air will enter into the healthy alveoli. All of the air will enter into the healthy alveoli, and when excess air enters into the healthy alveoli, there will be extra distension of the alveoli, and whenever there is extra force applied to the healthy alveoli, it will further lead to the damage of the existing healthy alveoli. That is the reason that we cannot use heavy ventilation to these patients. Right? Now, what can we do? So, whenever we provide ventilation to the COVID-19 patient, we should give low tidal volume ventilation. Low tidal volume means somewhere between 4 to 6 ml per kg. So we can give 4 to 6 ml per kg ventilation to the patient. Done. Now, whenever we are giving low tidal volume to the patient, one doubt can all come to our mind is, if we are giving lesser air to the patient, only lesser air will come out, and when lesser air will come out, less amount of carbon dioxide will be given out. So there will be carbon dioxide build up in our body. Now, if there is carbon dioxide build up in our body, there will be elevated proton levels, right? There will be elevated protons level. Whenever there is elevated proton level, there will be reduced pH. Means that is the pH level will be increased, right? This will lead to respiratory acidosis, right? This will lead to a condition known as respiratory acidosis. So then it is not appropriate to give low tidal volume, right? But we only have the option to give low tidal volume. So what we can do in this condition is, the only problem is that the building up of carbon dioxide in the body. We can throw the carbon dioxide more with the same volume. How? We have to just increase one thing, that is, we can increase the respiratory rate. Increase the respiratory rate. When respiratory rate increase, the required amount of carbon dioxide will be eliminated out, and there will not be building up of carbon dioxide, and there will be no respiratory acidosis. Now, what is increased respiratory rate? We can maintain it somewhere greater than 20 breaths per minute. So, this is all. Right now we have to treat a COVID-19 patient, and after I have said that this is all what we have, you should all have come to a conclusion that this is the reason why still we are worried about COVID-19. We do not have a proper treatment for COVID-19. All we have is a hypothesis which is not a complete answer to the questions that we have against COVID-19. So, in a summary, we can give the IV fluids to the patient to maintain dehydration, but excess we cannot give due to fluid buildup. For fever, we can give paracetamol. We can use remdesivir, which will inhibit RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. We can use chloroquine, which will inhibit the entry of the genetic material into the type 2 pneumocyte. Ritonavir, which is a protease inhibitor, will inhibit the proteases, hence will stop the building up of all the structural constituents of COVID-19. Then tocilizumab, which is a DMARD, which will inhibit the release of interleukin 6, further reducing the inflammation, and we can still use corticosteroids. And since the patients are ARDS patient, which will further lead to SARS, then they will lead to septic shock and multiple organ failure, we have a high need to ventilate the patient, but we cannot use heavy ventilation because of the damaged alveoli. Then excess air will be entering into this healthy alveoli. See, damaged alveoli will not allow the air to enter into itself, right? That's the problem. So all the air will enter into the healthy alveoli, and it will further lead to over distension of the alveoli, leading to damage of the existing healthy alveoli. So we have to give low tidal volume, that is somewhere between 4 to 6 ml per kg. But the issue with that is if we are giving low volume, we will get out also low volume. So there will be building up of carbon dioxide, that will lead to building up of protons, hence will lead to reduce the pH levels, that will lead to respiratory acidosis. So in order to counter this, we have to increase the respiratory rate somewhere between about 20. So that's all in the treatment of COVID-19. We will be dealing in our next class some new topics. Till then, stay safe, take care, keep learning.